Hey guys, check out Merida. She is so beautiful. I am so just, it just takes my breath away, this one. So I've made a sample one already. It's a very special craft. It was just very special. And so I really hope you guys enjoy it. It has a lot more techniques in it. It's a little different, but the end result is just fabulous. It's just stunning. I can't even explain how beautiful it is. Remember, you can purchase these through my Whatnot if I have them available, or you can direct message me through any of the various socials, and I'll let you know what I have available. I really hope you enjoy this. So be sure to comment, like, subscribe, all the things. And yeah, thanks for just being here. Thank you. Just thanks for being here, you guys. And you have an excellent day. Hey guys, so here's our pin, as I told you before. It's so pretty. Just love this. So fig pins are pretty cool because they already have like a little stand that they come on. And this one I had opened already. And this is how it normally arrives, where it has her like symbol on the back. I'm gonna see if I can do something with that, but yeah, I mean, it's just really cool how detailed she is. That's why I wanted to take it out, just so you could see the detail of her. Let's see if it's zooming in. I mean, fig pins are pretty neat. Some people criticize fig pins, but I don't know. They're really beautiful pins, and they really work for what I need them for. I also think they're kind of cool that they can be like little action figures if you wanted. Because as much as I love pins, cork boards to me get a little boring. So I kind of like the idea of always trying to make something new to display something I think is really beautiful. So we'll go ahead and set her aside. So that's our beautiful pin. And what we're going to be using today is we're going to be using the Wildlife Wonder stamp set. Now this stamp set came out several years ago. It's one of my favorite stamp sets. I love the bear. There's something about the bear, and then even these little thistle pieces. I mean, it's just a beautiful, beautiful stamp set. All the texture. This is what they call a distinctive stamp. You see all that cool texture in there? That is what makes it a distinctive stamp, because it has all that texture all over. So what we're going to do is, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp our bear, just because sometimes it's a little tricky. So we're going to stamp our bear with black. And because this bear is a little bit big, I'm actually going to stamp from the top down. And I'm going to use a scrap piece of paper. Excuse me. I'm going to use a scrap piece of paper because it's such a large stamp. Sometimes you kind of just need to try it a couple times to make sure you know if it's going to come out right. Oh, that one actually came out pretty good. There's a little bit of splotchiness here, so I got to make sure I'm pressing down a little harder. But you see what I mean? You don't want to go right onto your cardstock sometimes if you're unsure. I've used this a lot of times, and there's a little scratch. You're going to see some scratches, and those scratches are intentional, like on this. This is actually what your stamp should look like when it's actually stamped with plenty of ink. So we'll get as close to that as we can. I just want to try it one more time, and then we'll put it on our press all the way down on all the sides. Good. That looks great. Okay, we've got all the texture in there and looks pretty good. All right, so now let's go to our actual cardstock. And the reason why I'm putting the ink from the top down is, I think I already said this, pardon me if I've repeated myself, is because when you ink from the top down, this is kind of an unwieldy stamp, and you could miss some of the areas if you don't do it the other way. All right. It's not as big as others. I have bigger stamps. This is not as big as those, but oh, good. Look, it turned out great. Turned out great. I'm only a little concerned about this extra blotch. It looks like a big blob of ink got right there. That's a bummer. Okay, let's try that again. I think there's a little extra ink sitting in here. Yeah, it looks like there was a little extra ink just sitting in that spot. Maybe I pressed down too hard in that spot. It doesn't look bad. You could still use it. I just kind of, well, actually that part will be covered. Okay, I like this one a little better. See how there's a little bit more detail in the face? I added a little too much ink. See how it looks fine. There's nothing wrong with this particular bear, but I think I pressed the ink pad a little too thick and it came out just a little too blotchy. I love all the detail in the bear's face on this one. And even though the back end looks a little darker than I want, this part is actually going to be covered. But I really like this detail in the face. So sometimes you have to stamp things a couple times. Just be ready for that. But hey, if I only had this tiny piece of paper and that was it, I would have used it. No problem. I might actually still use this on a card, to be honest. I might still use it on a card. Because this is a decorative piece that people are going to look at, I wanted to make sure that I have it as nice a quality as I can, you know, because it is a decorative piece. And then we're just going to cut it out. And I always leave a little border. And notice how I'm turning the paper, not the scissors. The paper, it moves, and not the scissors. It helps you get the straightest line, especially around curved areas. Anytime you wind up lifting up the scissors, it creates this weird little break. And it usually doesn't, your cutting will look more rough. And you see I'm just turning the scissors, turning the scissors. And you can trim more pieces later. There's some areas I might want to trim a little more later. Oh, this area always kind of bothers me, but because I need it to be a 3D bear, I'm going to cut this little middle area. I don't always cut this little middle area because it's a little tricky, but oh, I just tore it. Oh, no. No, okay, it's all right. Darn, my scissors got caught there. Just got caught underneath the cardstock. Luckily, I caught it before it totally ripped the leg. It just wrinkled it a little. Okay, good. I think it did tear it a tiny bit. Good. Okay, good. I'll do the same thing here. Get a little cleaner cut in there. There we go. Looks really good. There we go. So we cut it out. Now I did wind up lifting up the scissors once, or twice maybe. But that's how you get a smooth, clean cut all the way around your stuff. So if you're ever cutting anything, now you know that's how you do it. Move the paper, not the scissors. That's the key. So our basic layers are pretty simple. We got Pretty Peacock at 5x7. Then we have basic black at 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. Okay, and these can be found at fabulousstamper.com. Click shop with me and you can find these. Anything that's retired like this in the paper, you can find from some of my friends, and I'll mention their names at the top of the videos. But anything that's current, like this, the ink, scissors, all these various types of things, those things all can be available, are available at FabulousStamper.com, and click shop with me. Now this paper is retired. It's this gorgeous paper, and it's called tartan foil. It has these beautiful tartan pieces in here. I mean, in theory, I could have even used this one because that kind of picks up on her hair. But obviously I wanted to stick with the rich greens and such. So I grabbed an extra pack from a friend, and then I had a partial pack myself. And then the other sides have this fun tartan style. What makes this tartan and not check is the uneven squares, from what I understand. A check will have actual boxes all the way, because there's a rectangle and a check and a rectangle and a check. That makes it a tartan. And I you know, it's hard to know the difference, you know, if you're not someone who's in the, oh, and then there's a beautiful gray. This might be another option if I run out of the Lost Lagoon peacock piece. But it's just beautiful, beautiful. I didn't show you the other pages, other sides, but you see, beautiful paper. Beautiful. Just gorgeous. So, alrighty. So we're going to go ahead and glue that down. I almost used this side, but it had a little too much white, because my vision was to have the bear, and I'm going to make some rolling hills. And so, yeah, that's my vision. All right, let's get this nice and straight. Oh, and even the paper cutter you can get from FabulousStamper.com. I use this great paper cutter. So if you've ever seen me use it in my videos, it's a great little flat paper cutter. And it's not, you know, it can store easily. Let's get that down there. Good, good, good. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, we're gonna need our piece of paper again. And we're gonna need our scissors. I put our scissors away. Now we're gonna create some hills with cardstock. So this is 4 1/4 by 3 3/4, I think. I found that having this height, and obviously I want the width of the black to the black. I didn't like how it looked when the width of these hills stopped at the tartan. So I went ahead and I made this 4 1/4 by 3 3/4. Okay. And that's basic gray. This is Mossy Meadow, and this is Garden Green. Again, all available at FabulousStamper.com. And the paper we used for the bear is called Gray Granite. Gray Granite. Smoky Slate would also work, you know, but you need the lighter gray. Basic gray is really dark. You want one of the lighter grays. I think this one's Gray Granite. I'm pretty positive. So, all right. Then we're going to take our scissors again, and we're going to make layers of our trees, of our hills. And this is my front layer, so when I'm thinking of it, you can draw it out if you want, what you want your hill to look like, and then erase the the pencil marks. Just be very careful, because you might see the pencil marks. Just, you know, you got to be really gentle. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start right here. And I'm going to make like a little plateau. And then I'm going to go up a little. Go all the way to the edge. And I made sure this end one was a little bit higher, because I ran into some trouble on my last one. Now, technically, I could use this one if I wanted. You know, if I like this one better for the front, I'll use this one. But instead, I'm using this one. Now, this one we're going to use on the opposite side over here. So, okay. Oh, good. Pumpkin's coming to sit with me. So now for this one, I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to make a different kind of hill shape. I think I'm going to make this one kind of rounded up at the top. and then make it oops, that got a little choppy. There we go. And then same thing is gonna happen over here. And we're gonna have it layered. You're gonna see what I mean. We might have to trim some of these pieces, but it's gonna be fine. You'll see. All right. Then we're gonna have this last one, or maybe this last one should have been up. Let's try this last one rounded up, because I think that might cause some problems later. Okay. All right, yeah. And see, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be layering these together. Oh no, it's going to be fine. Okay, good. And then we're going to be layering these together. They don't have to be, you know, like these two are going to wind up matching up really closely. We just want to have like a little different layered look between each one. And so this one, I think, looks good. Let's see what this piece looks like. Okay, that looks good. And you see, when you put all three together, you see how it makes like a texture of like a hillside? We're gonna do the same thing on this other side here. And we're gonna have to trim these ones up a little bit better. So we're not wasting any paper. We're still using the same paper. But see how these are a little too matching? I want it to be a little more, a little less contrived. Now this one I kind of like. This one I think turned out good. But I'm gonna make this one more of a flat plateau. Or maybe I'll round it. Or no, I've got that one. Round it up a little. And that way it looks a little different when it's next to it. I don't know if, I don't really like this little peak. So I think I'm gonna round that out so the peak just kind of runs off. And then for this last one, we'll go ahead and we'll plateau this. Make that a little plateau. And this one, we'll just kind of, I'm just going to change the shape of this a little bit. There we go. So that one I can change up. You know, it's just a fun little, you know, just you're creating, you don't want it to be, the reason why I'm doing it freehand is because I don't need them to all be the same. I want them to all have a different type of layer because, you know, when you look at the hillsides in Scotland, they will have different layers. So that's a good thing to have, you know, if you want to make it not authentic, but an ode to where it's from, you know? And so this one, I might still trim this one a little bit more, but we'll get to that later. We're going to do some shading. So we're going to go ahead and take Pretty Peacock. This is the one we're going to be using. And my favorite blending brushes, which you guys have seen a few times. I am getting new ones because I've started to mix the colors so much. This cardstock is a little too bright for my liking. And even look at Merida. You see how bright that cardstock is against such a dark black figure? And even this, you know, it just doesn't look right. So what I've decided to do was I'm coloring all of them with Pretty Peacock, and it gives a shade to each one that just changes it. It just changes each one. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to ink that up. Always start off the cardstock before you go on, because you see those little, you see it's almost like a fingerprint. You see how you can make like a fingerprint if you press down just right? That is not what you want on your project. You want it to have a smooth look, okay? So always do that first. Start off and then go. And so, and you can still trim more if you get your mountains together and you decide, or hillsides together and you decide you don't like it. You can always trim more. There we go. I really wanted, I don't want it to be pretty peacock, but I want it to be gray with this pretty peacock hue. And peacock is pretty much the color of her dress. If you're wondering, you know, that's what I would, that's the color we have at Stampin' Up. That I would consider as Merida's color. And then we'll do this piece. We have to do it with both sides. So I'm just going to fast forward through this so that you don't have to be so bored. Okay, so we've gotten everything shaded. And so I'm going to flip one over. So let's look at the back side. So this is their colors before. And see the colors now. You see how that, just that shading of the peacock really gives a richness to these hills now, as opposed to these just plain cardstock hills. Now, obviously, if you only have plain cardstock and no ink and everything, that's fine. But it's just something I noticed. So this is what we're going to be using. And so I know I didn't have to shade. Now on the gray one, you have to shade and color the entire thing. But on the other ones, you don't. I'm gluing them all together as pieces. Like they're one piece. There we go. I think that looks good. All right. I just had to check and make sure that I had everything okay and correct. We're going to put a little bit of glue down here, because none of that will be visible. And we'll go ahead and we'll slide it into place. I should be doing it off my nice pretty paper. But you do want to make sure the edges line up, because that part has got to be correct, because that's going to line up to the edge of your black paper that's on your project. There we go. We have to make sure that these edge pieces meet the black, otherwise it's going to look totally weird. There we go, we got that layer. Then we're going to be doing these layers. Same thing, we'll start with the back, and then we'll move the gray down. Yeah, I like that better. As you see, you don't see most of the actual paper because you're layering it. But I shaded still a significant part, because look, all the way on this edge down here will be shown, or could be shown. Technically, I think Merida will be in front of it, but still. We're just layering our stuff. Making sure everything's lined up on the edge here. We want to make sure it's all lined up. Okay, and then we're going to add our gray piece right here. And I don't put a ton up at the top because I don't want, I'm going to have to tuck the bear a little, or no, I don't put the, I just put part of it. I want that like that. So now we've got everything shaded. So now we're going to layer our pieces. I'm going to go ahead and pop this up on dimensionals, because I'm going to put dimensionals along the bottom here because I want to make sure it's nice and high. And remember, you can get all the supplies of the cardstock at fabulousstamper.com. The only thing you won't be able to find is the stamp set and this tartan paper. This is retired. Let's go ahead and put them here. Let's see. Yeah, I think we can put them all along here because this is lower. So I'm afraid of putting them there because they might not, but let's go ahead and place this one so it's perfectly square at the bottom. And to the side, there we go. And then we're gonna glue this one down right here. Perfect. But see how it tucks behind. So there's still this like tucked behind. I would have liked it maybe a little bit higher, but it's okay that it's tucked behind. And then we'll put Merida, I think right here. And so we'll see where we put Merida. It's a tricky balance trying to get them layered just right. Just be gentle as you're dragging that glue in there. You don't want to accidentally drop it on the part that's not going to be glued or not going to have glue on it. I want that. And that side looks square. So those are our hillsides. That's our hillside. We're gonna be putting our label. What I did was I I printed out the sentiment on just cardstock, white cardstock, and then I took a rectangle die and I cut out the nice little shape with the stitching. We don't have these rectangle dies anymore, but I'm sure we have other types of dies that'll get the job done. This is just what I had on hand. Okay, there we go. We'll put that in the corner, make sure it's straight. We're just about done. We have our Merida pin, and the prongs on this pin are so long, which is why I wound up switching to a shadow box frame in order to make this craft or any of these crafts. So I want to put, we need to place our bear too. I almost forgot our bear. I want to have the bear about right here. Oops, I placed the sentiment and I realized I probably should have placed the bear because it needs to be right here and she is too tall. It's a little too tall. Darn, okay, so I needed the hills to be a little shorter. That was my mistake. Okay. I placed the hills a little too high. Luckily, I put the glue just at the bottom and not across the entire project. So if I'm gentle, yes, okay, that was my mistake. Because I only put the glue in the one area at the bottom, now we won't have any glue showing here, but we need to bring it down lower. So we need to tuck this way down lower. We might even need to trim it a little lower. I'm just gonna cut the tiniest bit off. That's like maybe 1/4 inch. And let's see if the bear will fit here. That was the one thing I forgot. And so I want the bear like kind of tucked in there. I think that'll work. So I like showing when I make mistakes, to be honest. I actually do like it when I show you guys when I make a mistake, because a lot of people think that creators or crafters, make these gorgeous things without any errors. This is a perfect example of how I made an error. I made one of these already as a sample, and then I mailed it off to a friend, and so I don't have it in front of me to check. Whereas most of the time, I'll make a couple at a time. I try to make a couple at a time. All right, let's get that down. Yep, it's in. Let's see about the bear. Yeah, the bear's back leg's going to get tucked. So remember how I was worried about the bear's back leg? Nope, it's fine. Okay. It's covering this tiny bit of her sentiment, but I don't think that actually looks bad. So then we're going to need to place our Merida. So let's go ahead and put our bear. Okay, I'm going to put some dimensionals on the top of the bear here. The dimensionals can all be purchased at fabulousstamper.com. Okay. And then for the legs, I want them to be glued to the right here. So, oh, that's going to look good right there. Okay. So I'm going to put a tiny bit of glue right here on this paw. Oops, that's a little bit too much, but we're going to put a tiny bit of glue on each paw just to get it to where it's going to stay. We just want to keep those in place. And I didn't take the dimensional backings off, so that was fun. Because now if I move, I moved all the glue. Now I have to perfectly try and get those bears right back where they were. Okay, the paws right back where they were. Okay. All right, good. Okay, so the paws are glued against the cardstock. The paws are glued against the cardstock, and then the bear is popped up with dimensionals right here. And then lastly, we're going to place our Merida, and I think I had her placed over here on the side because I'm going to show you, I've even got wisps. So I put a little board underneath in case it punches through. And when you put your Merida down, just press straight down because you don't want to bend your pin. So you're just going to go straight down. Straight down. You can give it a little wiggle to get through all that cardstock. There's a lot of cardstock. The good thing is fig pins are pretty strong too, so let's see. It's not going in. It is really fighting me. I'm gonna go straight in. There we go. It's breaking through. Just taking a minute. Oh, I forgot to add a glue dot in the bottom. Before I push any further, I need to make sure I have some glue dots on the back because someone told me that their pin, okay, had come loose in the mail, and I don't want that to happen. So I'll put several little glue dots here to make sure it holds it right in place. And these are archival safe glue dots. They're not, they're made for scrapbooking, photos, all kinds of things. Okay, let's go ahead and put her back. But yeah, and we haven't bent the pins, but it's just having to get through 6 layers of cardstock. So that's taking a little bit of time. There we go. Finally went through. Perfect. All right. And it looks like, whoa, she even pressed all the way through to the back still. That's impressive. But you see, that's how long their posts are. You know, their posts are really, really long. Okay, now the best part. My favorite part are the wisps. So I have these little pearls. They're in color pearls from several years ago. And again, you can find retired product from some of my friends, like Papered Chef, Darlene Walker. You can look on the screen and I'll share their names. So let's go ahead and add our little wisps. And I just had them kind of like, I was trying to make a little wisps, trying to figure out a way to have little wisps without, you know, how do I do this so that it's looks natural, you know? And even put one right here. And so, and then I'm going to have them floating along here as well. Let's put another one right here. Oops, wayward one. There we go. They're just floating up along toward the bear, the mom. And I just thought that was cool. And I think that's a perfect sentiment for Merida. Okay, the frame we're using is a 5x7 shadow box frame from Amazon. And we need to peel off the screen. It's like a plexiglass, which is actually good for shipping, because if it were glass, it just would have made it really difficult to ship. Not difficult, it just makes it challenging to ship it. All right. Let's go ahead and pop our little layer in. So it just has the, you know, the glass, the 3D layer. I try not to touch it too much because static will build. All right, so I popped Merida into the foam. So that's always inside of a shadow box. Shadow boxes always have like some kind of foam. And let's make sure that it looks even. Let's go ahead and pop this back on. Get rid of our board here. All right. There we go. But how beautiful is this? It's just gorgeous, right? Oh, it's so beautiful. I think it was just perfect for her, you know? Not too fussy, not a lot of gold. Even though she has gold in her stuff, I just felt like all the gold and shine would have taken away from, you know, what's normally Merida. So yeah, so this one's hers. Well, thanks for tuning in, you guys. Please comment, like, subscribe, all the things. I appreciate you, and on to the next. All right, bye.